Hey guys, how's it going? It's Traveling Beat here, going for my Triple Crown on the Pacific Crest Trail here. It is May 25th. It's my 52nd day on trail. Just wrapping up a few days off with my folks here in Ridgecrest before I get into the Sierra. Wanted to put together just a quick video, just kind of showing you some of the stuff, some of the preparations I've taken to embark into this next section. Of course, I think everyone who's at all familiar with the PCT this year is super familiar with the fact that we have record-setting snows up in those mountains. A lot of people have decided to skip or flip or bail altogether or come back later or whatever. I've actually been able to put together a great little team of folks. I'm really excited to go in, starting actually tomorrow on my day 53, the 26th of May, embarking north out of Kennedy Meadows. So I put together this video. We'll talk just a little bit about food, we'll talk about equipment, and we'll talk about some of the other sort of random preparations that I've put together. So to begin, I'll just kind of give you a quick overview of what the first jump of this trail looks like for me out of Kennedy Meadows. I will be going through with Rabbit and a pair of Finns, so two Finnish people that I met. I've hiked with these guys on and off a little bit already on this trail. Know them well, they're all stellar people. So that'll be a group of 4 of us heading up tomorrow morning out of Kennedy Meadows North. We're looking at a jump going straight from Kennedy Meadows to Bishop Pass. So this will be about 129 miles on the PCT officially before we bear east on the Bishop Pass Trail, which is at mile 832.2. And then we'll come past Bishop Pass, past Parcher's Resort, past and then over to either South Lake Road or CA 167. If we go to South Lake Road, that's 14 miles off the PCT. If we go to CA 167, that'll be 21 miles off the PCT. But yeah, we'll be coming over from Bishop Pass to get down to Bishop. So this, again, could be, I mean, it's 129 miles on the PCT plus either 14 or 21 plus whatever we got to hike on the roads, which some portion of which I expect will be closed. So could be potentially as short as maybe like 143 miles or so, could be potentially as long as about 170 miles or so. So we're looking at that being a 10-day jump, but with the conditions in the Sierra being what they are, I think we're all planning on taking 2 extra days of food just in case there's a weird storm or whatever else. We'll talk a little more about that later. Just in case there's a weird storm or whatever, we gotta kind of hunker down for a couple days. So I'm looking at a 12-day food carry to go from Kennedy Meadows, that is mile 700.8, to East Bishop Pass Trail, that is mile 832.2, plus 20 miles or so to get to Bishop or someplace where I can hitch to Bishop. So that's going to be the first jump, and frankly after that I'm going to figure it out. We'll probably go from Bishop to Mammoth to Kennedy Meadows North, aka Sonora Pass, but we're going to kind of see how we feel and how everything goes. Worth saying that I've also researched some of my bail points. So the first bail point is going to be Cottonwood to Lone Pine. That's after about 50 miles north from Kennedy Meadows. Second bail point is going to be, of course, the legendary Kearsarge Pass into Independence, California, and that's going to be about 88 miles after Kennedy Meadows. So the first bail point after 50. The second bail point is about 38 miles beyond that first bail point. But hoping that I won't need either one of those, hoping we can just kind of push through and do the full stretch out to Bishop. So yeah, so I already pre-recorded just a little bit about the food. Let's go over and check out what I'm doing for food specifically for these 12-day food carry. Hey, all right guys, so we're going to talk about some of the food that I'm going to be bringing into the Sierra. Obviously this is a big sort of project for me. It's going to be a 10-day jump, but I am going to be carrying, I hope it's going to be a 10-day jump. I'm going to be carrying 12 days of food just in case things get weird, take a little longer than expected, or there's a storm and I got to hunker down or whatever else. A couple of things that I considered, probably first and foremost, caloric density. Second is volume, and third is nutrition and stuff, because that's kind of important too. But yeah, so what I've done is I've laid out 1 day of food here for you to take a look at. So I'll start off with the breakfast essentials in my coffee, and then either a pack of Pop-Tarts or a double pack of cream of wheat, which I'll have some fat in, and I'll get there in a sec. And then for snacks throughout the day is sort of this whole middle row. So this is going to be just a few assorted protein bars, 3 or 4 per day, different protein bars. I have liquid IVs. I have 2 packs of almond butter per day, 1 big chocolate bar. I like the dark chocolate because it's less inclined to melt than any sort of milk chocolate. And I think it's about 1.5 cups of granola and about a 3/4 cup of just sort of mixed nuts. So that'll be sort of my snacks. It'll be the granola, the nuts, the chocolate, the almond butter, the liquid IVs, and then a few protein bars. And then for dinner, I will have, this is a double portion, or excuse me, a little more than 1 box of couscous. And that'll be either the Parmesan or the sort of Mediterranean curry flavor or whatever, just sort of alternating on a nightly basis. And then I also have some nice dried mangoes as sort of a sweet snack, and also try and get some fiber in. I'm also going to be carrying 2 different types of fat. Ghee is mostly lactose free, just sort of clarified butter. It's real nice. And virgin coconut oil, so that'll be a nice fat as well. Both these are super calorically dense, as you might expect, and those will be mixing in with either, or both I should say, the couscous as well as any morning that I have cream of wheat. It'll go in there as well. So I'm looking at getting probably about 4.5 tablespoons of this pure fat per day mixed into those 2 dishes. So that is 1 day of food in the Sierra. And I also have laid out already all the food that I'll be taking, so you can kind of get some sense of what it looks like. So over here we have the full 12 days worth of food all kind of laid out, and I'll just kind of go through this just one more time, what it all looks like. So this is 10 days of couscous with the seasoning packets all separated. I kind of, just to wrap my head around all the calculations and stuff, I do write, you know, the calories and how many days and the instructions, cooking instructions. I'm also bringing 2 double packs of ramen, so this will be 2 dinners, 1 dinner and a second dinner. Just any day I just feel like I cannot eat any more couscous. This will sort of be like my emergency dinner to kind of save my sanity. We'll skip that stuff for a moment and just jump over. So this is all of my breakfast essentials, all of my cream of wheats, and the Pop-Tarts that I'm bringing as well. I have all of my granola already laid out. Again, I've already written 240 calories per 3/4 cup. So each of these 1-gallon Ziploc bags, which are neither of which are entirely full, is 12 servings. Yeah, and then we have the nuts, of course, as well. And again, writing all the notations just on the Ziploc bag to kind of keep it organized. There's all my chocolate bars right here, and this is all the protein bars that I'll be eating. Just kind of an assortment, switching off every day or so, trying new stuff, trying to stay fresh. And then all of the almond butters there. I have the mangoes. Switch back around to sort of the kitchen tools. Nothing drastically changing here except for the addition of the Bear canister. Oh, this is all my liquid IVs. Trash bag. Got a nice little cup for my pour over coffee. This is the coffee right here, is the Cafe Bustelo. I have all my pills, so dietary supplements include glucosamine in 1 a day, vitamin I, Pepto-Bismol, spoon, stove and lighter, little cook pot, and a nice little cleaning cloth, and then 2 sort of the fat fuel containers, as well as the little like winter hack. So this is just a strip of copper with a silicone wristband around it. You can kind of imagine that when that stove is lit, this can kind of bend over the fire and transfer some of that heat from the fire down onto the canister in case it's way too cold for the fuel to burn properly. This sort of winter hack helps quite a bit. I'll mention I'm not super thrilled about the idea of carrying 2 fat canisters. This is way more fuel than I would usually carry. But frankly, it looks like there's every chance in the world that I'll have to melt snow at some point for water, and that takes an absolutely insane amount of fuel. So at least to get to Bishop, I'm going to be carrying 2 fuel canisters, and then if I'm able to reassess and carry fewer on future jumps, then that would certainly be my preference once I have my head around exactly what the situation is and what the water availability is looking like out there. So anyways, that's food. All right, so that's a quick look at what food I'll be carrying for the 12 days to get from Kennedy Meadows, embarking on the 26th of May, and going from Kennedy Meadows to Bishop, California, and what I'm hoping will be a 10-day jump. Wanted to also just do a quick little overview, a little refresher. I did do a full gear loadout before I got on the PCT, and I've already mentioned some of this equipment, but I wanted to go over it one more time now that I'm actually going into the Sierra, now that I actually have my head around what it is that the folks who have gone through before me have done. So this is going to be a quick look at some of the equipment that I'm taking through, some of the changes I'm making to some of my kit. Let's go ahead and take a look at that clip. Alright guys, thought I might just take a minute and go through some of the changes that are happening with my kit as I get into the Sierra here in another couple days. So I've got everything all laid out. I'll just kind of quickly go through. A lot of this I went through in my gear loadout video, but now that I'll be going into the Sierra next day, I'm on trail, I thought I might just go through it one more quick time, kind of show you what we got. So these are the same trekking poles, although I have switched out to the snow baskets. These are going to be super important as I'm going to be walking on snow all day, and I'm also carrying a backup pair of snow baskets because often enough snow baskets will get eaten up by the snow and be unrecoverable. I have from the beginning of this hike been using my Durston X-Mid Pro 2. This is actually the replacement one, which Dan Durston sent me. So this is a brand new Durston X-Mid Pro 2. I did pitch it outside of the hotel just to make sure it all looked good. And I did indeed switch out the guy lines with this sort of upgraded guy line cordage that I got from Durston as well. This is like a iron wire, sort of like a Dyneema guy line. So brand new Durston. Still have my ground cover, upgraded guy lines on that. I'm bringing a snow shovel, which might be helpful in any sort of particularly adverse conditions. Might be really fun to glissade on. Might be all sorts of cool things. This is the BCA Dozier T1, I think is what it's called. All of this stuff is going to be on my LighterPack page as well. And all those links are always going to be in the description down below the video. This is the Camp Corsa ice axe with a couple of accessories on it, obviously, as well as I put on some heat shrink tubing just to kind of make it easier to carry in cold conditions. All right, over to traction. We have, of course, the MSR Lightning Ascents. Those are the 30-inch version, so those are nice and heavy. All the weights, all the information, all the product names, again, down in the LighterPack page. I am switching away from trail runners and into far more serious boots. These are the Salomon Quest 4s, and I also have the Black Diamond Contact crampons on there right now. So those are certainly much heavier and more serious crampons than I was using previously with the Catula K10s, but I was not impressed with the Catula K10s, and I figured if I'm going to be spending a month on snow, I may as well get something that'll work a lot better for me. So I haven't actually tried the Contacts, and I haven't actually tried the Salomon Quest 4s, so not ideal that I'm not familiar with them, but I mean, everything comes highly reviewed, so hopefully it'll be great. I also have a Black Diamond crampon bag and Rab Alpine Gore-Tex gaiters. These will hopefully be great just to help me from impaling my Achilles with these crampons, as well as just trying to keep my feet nice and warm and hopefully out of the snow, as well as any sort of blowdowns or anything might help protect me some from that. I have, of course, a bear canister as required through the Sierra section, so that's already full up with food. I've also not been carrying the brain for my pack. That's sort of like the top lid compartment, and I am getting that out because I think probably my bear canister will live under my brain, but that's still sort of TBD. So the bear canister, pack brain, 2 more new items. I've been carrying 2 of the Nightcore 10,000 milliamp batteries. I gave it a lot of thought and decided to go ahead and order out a 3rd one. So now I have 3 of the 10,000 milliamp batteries, as well as I ordered some brand new GoPro batteries as well. So these are all the Enduro batteries, which are supposed to be good for cold temperatures. And I have these 7 plus the one that's in the GoPro right now. So a total of 8 GoPro batteries plus 30,000 milliamp hours of just whatever phone charging batteries. From the beginning, I've also been carrying these Mylar bags, which I use to pack out waste, if you will. I'm going to be carrying a couple extra just because, you know, my first stretch through the Sierra might be as long as 12 days between towns. So I'm going to need a lot of capacity, if you will. I'm also going to be carrying 2 of what I call the fat fuel canisters through the Sierra because it's not abundantly clear to me that there'll be much water accessible, and I might need to melt snow for water, and that takes an absolutely ungodly amount of fuel. So I'm not thrilled about carrying 2 of these, but you know, I'd be far less thrilled about running out of water. So that just is what it is. Finally, well, not finally, but I'm also carrying a paper map of this section of the Sierra. For any sort of these really high stakes environments and trails. Again, this will be hopefully my Triple Crown. So I have a little bit of experience in adverse conditions on previous trails. And for any sort of like potentially, you know, particularly challenging section, I like the redundancy of a paper map. I mean, I'll be excited to ditch it too. I don't usually carry paper maps, but I think they're worth their weight in a condition like this. As is my 0-degree sleeping bag. It looks like the temperatures are going to be potentially dropping down to the teens, according to the forecast overnight. And it's going to be really, really, really important for me to get some good sleep. So I've busted out my 0-degree sleeping bag. I'm bouncing forward my 20-degree sleeping bag. So this is all the stuff that is, almost everything here is brand new for this next Sierra section. Yeah, so that's all the stuff that's getting added to the kit. And then I thought I might just over here on this other bed show you some of the stuff that I've been carrying from the beginning, which I'm also certainly expecting to be pretty pertinent for this next section of trail. So I have my Montbell Plasma 1000. I have my Skylight gear. This is sort of like my mid layer plasma gear, alpha, or whatever it is, alpha plasma, whatever it is, Polartec Alpha. That's what it's called. I also have, this is my sort of glove system. So I have the Z-Pax Possum Down gloves with the Showas over top. Those are breathable, but waterproof as well. So just sort of like a 2-layer glove system. Thermal pants from Patagonia. Probably didn't need to carry these from the beginning, but I have been doing it, and I certainly am not going to ditch them at this point. I have my sealskin socks. Similarly, probably didn't need to carry these from the beginning, but I have, and certainly I will through this next section as well. My wonderfully luxurious camp socks, darn tough Paul Bunyan socks. I have my Goose Feet gear down at Balaclava, which is really great, either in super cold mornings or just at camp or whatever. Melons on a hat, prize of the CDT last year. This is just nice for sleeping in, really nice. And then a couple rain items. So I have a poncho, which I love for its versatility. I could potentially glissade on it to save my pants or whatever. Just a really nice piece of gear. I really, really love carrying a poncho. And then I have two of my newer pieces of gear. This is the Z-Pack's rain system. I think it's the Virtus pants and the Virtus rain jacket. So that is far from all of the gear that I'll be taking into the Sierra. You can check out my full PCT loadout video way back when I started this trail. But this is all the stuff that I think is kind of like most pertinent for the Sierra section as I go in just another couple days. I'll also mention just quickly about that pack that from the beginning of the trail, just in anticipation of this exact section, I purchased and have been carrying an 85-liter Osprey Aether, I think. So just a really big, beefy, heavy pack. Weighs like 6.5 pounds empty. It's huge and heavy, but hopefully it'll carry this load way better, because I expect my loadout for the Sierra to be like somewhere around 60 pounds or something. It's just going to be absolutely insane, but it isn't the condition for ultralight, to be perfectly honest. And I've carried an ultralight pack that's overloaded, and I don't ever want to do that again. It's just super uncomfortable. So anyways, that's all the gear that, not all the gear, but all the pertinent gear in case you wanted to see what I'll be carrying into the Sierra. Awesome, welcome back. So that is some of the gear that I've swapped around and made some switches to some of my equipment to get through the mountains. Finally, I'll just kind of talk about some of the things I've done just to kind of prepare for it, aside from food and equipment. Obviously, these are the people with whom I'm going through. These are people who have snow experience, who have mountaineer training, who have done long hikes before. They're people who I've hiked with before. They're people I feel great about, people who I'm sort of like on the same wavelength as. I trust their eyes, I trust their judgment, and I just kind of get along with them. So with them, I've spoken pretty extensively about, you know, what our schedule is going to be, and they've spoken with me too. I mean, it's a mutual sort of courting process here to see who you're going to go through with. But I think we're all on board to start super early before the snow really sort of softens up and stuff. We want to make sure everyone's on the same page about what your itinerary is going to be, and as far as just your day-to-day progress, whether it's going to be breaks or whatever. I mean, just make sure that everyone's pretty clear and deliberate about what it is that your objectives are and how you're going to achieve those objectives. Aside from feeling good about my team, I've also undertaken a few steps to sort of prepare my phone, right? So you saw in my gear loadout that I am bringing a paper map with me as well. This is the National Geographic PCT map. I'm not super thrilled about the National Geographic PCT map. It does just go page by page, and it doesn't have a whole ton of side trails, but on my phone, I also have GaiaGPS, and on GaiaGPS I've downloaded a ton of great maps. I have the National Geographic PCT map, I have the National Geographic John Muir Trail map, I have the National Geographic Trails Illustrated map, which just gives sort of a wider window of the whole sort of Sierra area to include, I think, just about all of Sequoia National Forest, as well as Kings Canyon and all that. I've downloaded a ton of map layers just for this jump, getting from Kennedy Meadows to Bishop, and then I'll have to download new maps when I get to Bishop. But aside from that, I've also downloaded all of the USGS topographic maps. I've downloaded the Gaia topographic maps, and I've downloaded the slope angle, which is a pretty cool layer you can put on just to sort of wrap your head around exactly what the avalanche, I shouldn't say avalanche, but what the slope angles are on the adjacent hills, mountains, and slopes around you, and therefore use that information to ascertain the avalanche risk in any given area. So I do like to download a ton of different map layers, just because frankly, like, some map layers show things that other map layers don't show. Some map layers display things a little bit differently than other map layers, and I just like having my options open. So frankly, the space on my phone doesn't make that much of a difference. I'd rather just have the map layers. So I've also taken my Garmin InReach and I've spaced out the breadcrumb feature, essentially the tracking feature where it's going to drop a dot for me and just kind of track my location. I've spaced that out. It had been set to every 10 minutes. I'm spacing it out to every 20 minutes just so that I can get a little more juice out of that Garmin. And finally, back to the phone, the last thing I've done is I'm pulling up ontrailweather.com. I'm pulling up the location halfway between Kennedy Meadows and Bishop, and I'm pretty much taking a screenshot of the weather for that exact location. It's not going to tell me everything. I'm still going to have to pay a lot of attention to the skies and the weather and sort of what the conditions are locally, but I love to go into each jump with some idea of exactly what to expect with respect to weather, just kind of roughly. For this jump, it looks like we should get a decent weather window. It looks like it's going to be getting comfortably below freezing overnight, which should help the snow firm up quite a bit. Cold weather is what we want for this jump. And then it will be warming up during the day, unfortunately. I'd prefer it stay, you know, below freezing just for ease of travel, but it will be warming up during the day, and we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're interested to follow my trip through the Sierra, I will say definitely these first few days are going to be on a delay. Usually my videos are about a week behind. I won't even be to Bishop until likely 10 or 11, 12 days until after I embark. So the videos will be even more delayed, but I will be producing still daily videos of the conditions in the Sierra. So if you're interested to follow along, definitely hit like, definitely hit subscribe. I'd love to have you along the channel. Again, this is me going for my Triple Crown. I did the AT 2 years ago. I did the CDT last year. I was hoping to save the easy one for last, but the Sierras have other things to say about that. So I'm excited to get into the section. I'm excited to see what those mountains look like, and I'm excited to share it with you. So if it's something you're interested in, please do hit like, hit subscribe, follow along, share the channel. Thanks so much. I'll check in with you later.